in 2009, and I got this off the internet, so I'm hoping it's true. She was on a long haul flight to Singapore and trying to juggle everything on that flight with her knitting and her paper. And she thought there has to be an easier way to do this. And that same year, she went to the Sock Summit. And I don't know if any of you remember the Sock Summit that Yarn Harlot would put on, Stephanie Pearl McPhee. At the Sock Summit, she saw people with e-readers, the Barnes and Noble readers and the Kindle readers, who were using their e-readers and would put the pattern in the e-reader, and then they would use a Post-it note on the screen to keep track of where they were. And she thought, I can do better than that. And so she started programming Knit Companion. And it has evolved from that first release in 2012 to what it is now. There are two different versions of Knit Companion. You can download the app for free, and it's Knit Companion Basics. It's going to give you the very elementary features. It's not going to give you most of the features that we're going to talk about today, but you can keep, there is a slider where you can keep track of your rows and everything like that. So let's see if all this technology will work. And again, this is not a deep dive. This is just a demonstration. So I'm not, if you have specific questions, hit me up afterwards. But if you have generalized questions, just holler out and let me know what your question is. And number two, I am not a public speaker. So forgive any faux pas. Can we do lights, please? Can you talk louder? I can try, yes. All right, good. I think it went to sleep. And it's coming on. When you download Knit Companion, and it's been so long ago, I really can't tell you what you're going to see first. But when I open my Knit Companion app, I'll try not to touch the mic again. When I open my Knit Companion app, this is what comes up. Monica, is there any way to make the screen brighter? Is it getting on? Okay. Okay. I don't know how to focus, so does somebody? Yeah, it got blurry. It's a little blurry. Is this it? That's it. There we go. I think that's the best it's going to get. That's good. Okay. Right, okay. All right. When I open my Knit Companion, it defaults to showing all of my projects. And these are all of the things that I have set up as project. I've imported the PDF and I've created the project. There are different locations in Knit Companion. Let's try this. See this bar at the top? If I click on my PDFs and everything is marked with the PDF, I'm clicked on local. These are all my local PDFs that I have on my iPad. If I click on Ravelry, it may take a minute. There we go. I have this linked to my Ravelry library. And so it's going to show every pattern in my Ravelry library. So if I am at a coffee shop, because I hang out in coffee shops, we used to be bars, now it's coffee shops. If I am linked to Ravelry, I can go ahead and open one of these and create the project. And I don't have to go home and say, oh, I need to get this off my computer. Here we go. It's already there. If you have Dropbox, which I don't really use too much anymore, You can set it up so it'll link, and you can move projects to your Dropbox. You can move PDFs to your Dropbox, and you can pull them in from there. Okay. The first thing that I want to show you is something that I set up. Turn this off. All I'm going to do is I'm going to click. You don't want to see my coffee cup. All I'm going to do is click on this icon right here because I've set up this project. And so if I set up, and I should have turned off pop-ups. Here's a project that I set up for demonstration. And across the top, I have the pages that were in my pattern, and I've set up a chart and I've set up a text. The other thing that I have set up down here is a key. And I've set up what the abbreviations for my stitches mean. And I've also taken a photo from the pattern and I put it down in my key so I can like double check myself. Is this looking like what I'm supposed to be doing? And I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. My picture is already there. A couple different things about this page. At the top, there is knit, edit, and setup. Everything is a different mode. I'm going to click on edit. If I click on edit, and because I have Knit Companion Essentials, I have all of the options that are down this side. Those are all different options of things that I can do. And because I have Knit Companion Essentials and Setup and Essentials, I can go in here and make these charts or format text so that I can go row by row and use what's called a one-tap marker. If I go back into Knit and I hit my chart, which I created in the setup, you'll see over here is my one-tap marker. And as I advance the row in my chart, I just tap that and it moves up a row. I can also use voice commands, and if I hit this, it doesn't work well in big open spaces I have found, but if I hit the microphone, see if it'll work. Okay, use the microphone. Next. And it moves it up a row if you're extremely lazy. If I want to turn the microphone off, if I want to reset the chart, I long tap on the one tap marker and I hit reset and I say, yes, reset the piece, go back to row 1. Different parts of the screen that I have available to me that I can hide. Once I get my pieces set up here at the top, I can hide this top bar by clicking on this, and that hides the top. I can click on this and hide the bottom if I don't need it anymore. And if I want it to be full screen, I can click on this, and it gives me full screen. Toggle it back on to get full screen, there and there, okay? So as I'm knitting this, I want to work. My fingers don't have haptic touch half the time, and I don't know why. There we go. If you double tap, it enlarges it. If I double tap over here, it moves it to the right. If I double tap over here, it moves my chart to the left. If I double tap again, it makes the chart smaller. But I can zoom in and out. Don't ask me why it's not working now. Normally it does, but it's just because it's not going to work. Down here at the bottom, I have these keys, and I'm not sure which one of these show in Knit Basic versus the Setup and Essentials, so you'll have to figure that one out. If I click here, it shows me the key that I've set up. If I hit it again, I have the option to add a quick key, long tap key button. All that means is if I long tap in this space, then I pick the page, it pulls the whole page in, and I get the whole page in here. I very rarely do that because I only want a portion of the key to show. Am I talking loud enough? Are you guys hearing me okay? Okay. This one is if I have any row reminders set up or any shaping reminders, and I do, and they are all right there. This one is for linked counters. Linked counters are when you are working on a pattern that you're not necessarily using a chart or a text piece that you have set up, but you still need to count your increases or decreases or some certain step. You use linked counters. I'm not going to even talk about linked counters because I think I used them once and decided, no, I don't like those. I'm going back to the way that I did it before. This button right here, let me go back to the beginning. The one thing that it has on here is it has the hours and the minutes that you've worked on a project. So as long as you have this screen open, and if you go into settings at the very beginning, there's an option to keep the screen open all the time, because as you know, your iPad will go to sleep if you leave it open for so long, but you can block the sleep so that when you're in Knit Companion, it never goes to sleep. So as long as you're in the Knit Companion screen, this will keep track of your time down here, how much time you've got into this project. If I tap on ruler, it gives me a ruler, and I can do imperial or metric. I can make it wood or metal or whatever, and it's supposed to be pretty accurate. The other thing that this full feature Knit Companion has are the calculators, and the calculators are really quite handy, particularly for me because I have Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, and so I never follow the pattern when it comes to decreasing or increasing for the sleeve. I always do my own. And so when it says decrease sleeve pattern, all I do is I say, okay, my row gauge is, pick a row gauge, 15 stitches to the inch, or 15 stitches to the row, okay? My starting stitch count, I'm decreasing, so my starting stitch count is 90. What I want to end up with is 68 before I start my ribbing. And the length from my underarm to my cuff, and because I have short arms, is, let's say it's 13. And now I'm going to calculate. And there it is. And it's telling me what I need to do to decrease. And I'm going to say, okay, but that's here. How do I get it over there to the pattern? I'm going to copy to project info. And if everything works out and I go to project info, it's right there. I keep tapping. This is a multi-tap button, and so when you tap it, you get different screens. So there's my project notes for that. If I want to add another project note, I can say, change needle. Tap that in, and there it is, change needle. And it stays in there. I don't have to click a save button or do anything like that. The other thing you can do, and I keep tapping on this, I needed to watch a video for a provisional cast on. So I can insert a video link in here and I find my URL for my video, or if your PDF has an active video link in it, you can pull it straight from the PDF, which on some of the Stephen West patterns, he always has a video link. And so you just click on that, you go through the process, and you can set it up in here. And so I can watch my video, blah, blah, blah. So there's my video. It's all there, and very handy. These are simple counters. I don't know why they're here. I've never been able to figure that out, because if I go back to my main screen, my simple counters are over here. So if you just need to count something, you just use simple counters. All right, let's take a look at the chart. Oh yeah, you can change the name. Yeah, which I'm not going to show you. You can change the name, and as you one tap on them, because see, I've changed this name to blah, blah, blah. They go up. And if I want to turn that sound off, I can turn that sound off in settings. If I say, okay, I need to restart this, I can rewind it by 1, or I can reset it all the way back to the beginning. The other thing that I have on here that I've set up is pop-up reminders. And if you look here at this little bubble right there, that's my pop-up reminder. And I'm saying, don't forget. Yeah, whatever. Write whatever you want to in there. Turn off the oven, whatever. So I've set my chart up, and as I go up, you will notice that I have stitch counts. And if you look in, come on, zoom in. If you look, that says 4. That doesn't have anything because I set my stitch count on these cells and these are called magic markers. I set my stitch count to only start when there's 4 or more cells of the same type, because I can count to 3 pretty easy, more or less. Sometimes it's debatable, but I can count to 3 a little easy. The other thing that I've done, let me reset here because it's not going to let me go forward. Reset piece. The other thing that I've done is, and I've just picked numbers out of the blue for this. This is not really the pattern. I just wanted to show it to demonstrate. The other thing is, this pattern says, in my mind, repeat rows 1 through 3 3 times, and then repeat the whole chart twice. And so as I go through and I knit it and I hit enter, you see that 1 through 3 over here, and you see this green line because I set the green line there. As I click it again, it's going to go back to 1, 2, 3, 1, and I'm on my third repeat. And now as I advance, it's going to go through everything. I'm back at the bottom. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 again. I should have chosen a shorter chart. And when I get to the last row and I finish it, it's going to say, you're done. You don't need to repeat anymore. You're done. Go to the next thing. If I need to add it, I increase it here. The other thing that I did is I put in shaping features. Oh, wait a minute. One thing I forgot to tell you about. Go up. You see these, I should have shown you. See these little center double decrease marks? Yeah. I have them highlighted in green. With my magic marker, I could choose that cell in the graph, in the chart, and I could say, mark all of these green because I don't want to miss them. And so I did them all in green. The other thing I did was shaping. And my shaping is I've got to increase, I set it up so that increase 1 at, I don't know why that says work. It was supposed to say end of round. Medication, what are you going to do? So what I do is as I step forward, it's telling me check these off. So I'm going to check that off. I've got it done. And it reset my smart counters last night. But as I go through on those shaping counters, it will tell me how many times I've done it, and it will remind me. It won't let me advance the one tap marker until I check off that I've done it. And I have it set up to do it every 5 rows. And if it worked out like I had planned for it to do, you would see that as I go up on the 5th row up, it's going to tell me increase. And then it's not going to let me advance until I check it off with that blue check mark. Yeah, which is a very nice function. The other thing, let's go into edit and you can see the magic markers. The other thing is, I don't really like these colors. We're going to go to a new piece. I don't really want to see all this yellow. I want to reset that color because that just is too much on my brain. So I'm going to click edit. I am going to go into this right here, which is like a row bar and a column bar with a finger. I'm going to tap on it, and I get the option to change my colors. And I'm going to say, right now it's set up so that my odd rows are yellow and my even rows are purple. I'm going to say, I want this saturation to go down. Let's see if it'll go down for me. Okay, and I'm going to select it. And now when I go back to knit, I turned it down too much and now you can't see it. But you can see the purple. Edit. Let's turn it back up. Anything that you do, you can undo for the most part. And select. And there it is. And it's a little bit less intrusive. When I go into edit, I have all these functions on the full version. This is my magic marker, and this is where I talked about marking certain cells. This, I'll show you one very quickly. Set up a magic marker. It says tap the plus to add a marker. I'm going to make a magic marker, and it says tap on the stitch to select it. Well, I want to highlight this because it's a 3-step process for the same stitch. So I'm going to tap on that, and I'm going to click and drag to highlight the whole thing. It always defaults to this pinky salmony color. I'm going to leave it there. You can rename it if you like just by clicking in the name, backtracking, and saying stitch, whatever. Call it whatever you want. I don't need to count them, so I'm not worried about any of that. And I'm going to click on this magic marker right here. And now it's highlighted all of those. And so when I go back to knit and I get up to that row, I can see all of those. And my legend is down here for that stitch.
The other thing I like about doing that is it helps you visualize the pattern better.
Yes, it does.
What it actually looks like as opposed to just a bunch of symbols.
For some people, the colors are distracting. They don't want to see all of the colors. But other people like to really see what everything is. The other thing that I can do, pull this down, is this was a mystery knit along. And so the PDFs came out one by one by one. Let me pull up another one. The PDFs came up one by one by one. And I didn't want to set up a project for each individual clue that came out. I wanted to combine them all in one. So to do that, all I do is I go into Edit. I click on this down here, which is the PDF symbol with a plus sign. I want to add a PDF. I click on that to get that, and I find my file that I want. And this is where it gets hairy, because when you go into Ravelry and you download you look at the pattern and they've given you an update, look at the file name. The file name is usually below the image. You really have to know the file name or you're going to go through all your PDFs. More on PDFs later. Click on the name. I think this is called Clue. There we go. I'm going to add Clue 3. I clicked on Clue 3, and there it is. I have the option to add all of the pages. See all the red numbers? Those are already selected.